Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, friends. How are you doing? Sorry I'm late. I have terrible time management skills. Let me get my floss box stool ready. Yeah, I always try to do too much in the 10 minutes leading up to stream. I don't think it's too much, but I underestimate how long it takes me to do things. Hence the terrible time management. But we're here now. My shoulders are a bit stiff, hence the massive heating pad. But we've got our tea. We got two teas today, actually. We've got hot tea in, oh, you can't really see it. There we go. In Epic Alice mug. And we also have the Fortnum & Mason cold tea infusion in here, which is like apricot cherry. It's really nice. And we are back on our stabby business. I know I was debating whether or not we would play Strange Horticulture today or not. But I've realized, I don't think my brain is in the headspace to try to think through puzzles right now. But I am mentally conscious enough to stab colors into numbered sections in a canvas for 3 hours. So that's what we're gonna do. Maybe next week, if I'm feeling a little bit more with it, we will attempt to solve puzzles in Strange Horticulture again. But for now, I don't know. I feel like this week I'm feeling a little bit scattered. And then I realized that this is technically my PMS week, so maybe that's what it is. Maybe that's what's going on. So I've been in a bit of a funk for a few days. Just been overly sensitive, a lot quicker to be in a mood. And as much as, I don't like to stereotype myself in things, it just seems to be that is the sort of trajectory that this week is having. And I'm not inferring causation, but there may be a correlation between the fact that this is, because of the week it is, I'm being a little bit more sensitive. But I'm not sure. We'll see. We'll find out. So where we last left off on this beauty is we were filling in the light blue sections at the top of this cup. So we're going to continue doing that today. There's all these tiny little sort of intricate pieces because I don't want to just blanket felt over top of these lines because we need them later to follow along to other things. So that's what we're doing today. Is this all right? Okay, cool. Now whether or not this is enough floss or not enough floss, I guess we'll find out in a minute. But yeah, so we're just gonna take it easy today. I feel like, I don't know, the day seems to call for it. It's nice out today, which is good. I think it's meant to rain a little bit later today. It's very windy, but the sun is out. And so I'm gonna take all of the vitamin D opportunities I can get. Shadow is asleep downstairs. I don't know if he's fully asleep, but he's resting downstairs at the moment. So maybe he'll come by and see us later. He's been in a bit of a mood today. Starting with, my mother-in-law came over last night with some people, and she brought over a dress that kind of looks like Wednesday Addams' formal dress in the Netflix series. Because I guess Liam's aunt bought it for his cousin, but I don't know if she didn't like it, didn't want it, whatever. And so she gave it to me, and so I hadn't actually taken a look at it last night, so I got it out of the bag this morning, and then Shadow decided he wanted to steal it. So I said no, because it's this lace dress. I don't necessarily want you doing that. And then proceeded to resource guard this dress. And once I clocked that he wasn't actively going to chew on it, I just kind of let him have it. But I was just in a mood. I was really, this is not. And of course I couldn't pull it away from him, again being the delicateness, depending, considering how delicate the fabric was, I didn't want to accidentally rip it by trying to pull it off of his paws and stuff, because he fully had his feet on it. and then was like resource guarding, growling at me to be like, don't take this from me. And I'm like, why are you hoarding a dress? Like, it's not even food. So I was a bit annoyed with him this morning, but now, I don't know. Again, like I said, I'm just in a real quick to like be in a mood headspace, whereas normally I'd just be like, okay, that's weird, and just like kind of leave him to it. My initial reaction was like a massive eye roll and like, you know, being very annoyed. But now, and then after 2, he then didn't, because we did our thing where we went for our W in the morning like we do. And he's doing this thing now where he's not eating his breakfast until after our, like the W, after the walk. And then if the walk is really long, he's not eating for, you know, until like 11. But today, even after we got home, he still wasn't interested in his food. And so it wasn't until like 1:30 or something that he finally ate. So he's just kind of chilling now, but I'm hoping he's okay. I don't know if it's because yesterday he was being a little shit, and when we were coming back from our walk, he managed to find like a bone or a chicken bone or something like that. And then when we ordered pizza and chicken wings last night with the family, he then kept trying to steal chicken wing bones. So I don't know if he got one and now he's not feeling well and he's paying for the consequences of that. Hopefully not, but we'll see. Hello, you got sidetracked watching the Great British Bake Off. Hey man, of all of the things to get distracted by, I don't blame you for getting distracted by wholesome content. Is it the newest season that you're watching, Kat? Good morning. Or are they like reruns of anything? I know that they've recently done another Stand Up to Cancer special. I haven't watched it yet. But I know that that is a recent thing that they have done. Oh yeah, they did. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I feel like it's very bizarre to me that David Schwimmer is part of that. I don't know if he's like in London or like in the UK filming something for whatever reason, but it seems very random that they got Ross from Friends to be on the British Bake Off. But who knows? Who knows if he's any good? He seems like a nice dude. That's good. Yeah, I don't know. I know very little about him. I just thought it was random that he was on there, but good for him, you know? I don't like, well, it's not bad, but of course, because I'm trying to fill in all these little gaps, I feel like it's getting really sort of shrunken down and not nearly as fluffy as some of the other ones, which is kind of annoying, but I think it'll be all right. We'll see. We shall see. I think it's just because, like, the scragglies are so thin or so fine, in order to, like, get them wrapped into here, it ends up sort of pushing the entire thing down. But it's okay. We'll keep going. But yeah, is that the one that you were watching was the celebrity one, or were you watching a different one? Yeah, it was the David one. Oh, okay, awesome. I am intrigued to watch that one. I've never watched the Great British Bake Off, like, in general, but I have watched their Stand Up to Cancer ones every once in a while. But yeah, I didn't think what I watched today. I was just watching YouTube videos. I've been currently watching this one person. Her name is Mila Tequila, which I'm assuming is like a play on like the Tila Tequila of it all. Where she's currently analyzing all of Britney Spears' various pop eras. So I've not finished the whole thing, but that's like a 2-hour video I've been slowly working my way through over the course of the week. But other than that, yeah, just watching random stuff. I did want to start rewatching Spy Family again, but I had a feeling that if I watched an episode, I would be binging it, and then I would have been even later to stream today than I normally am. So I'm not sure now if Pretzel Rocks is changing. I think they are now. Now I think they're shuffling their free options. Instead of once a week, it seems to be like every day. Because usually, because we listen to what? We listen to, I can't remember what we listened to yesterday. Probably Alternative or something. On Tuesday, and usually those things would be the schedule for the whole week, and it wasn't there today. So I think they like literally are changing it every day. Which is cool. It just means we'll get lots and lots of variety over the next little while. We finished The Mandalorian last night. Oh, wow. Yeah, that's one of the ones that I know is meant to be really good. I don't even know if Liam has watched it. I think my dad has. And maybe they've watched the first little bit. I don't know if they're up to date, but that's one that I've had to watch. Do you have any options? Like, is there a potential, like, oh, we need, like, there's something else potentially in the woodworks, or it was like this was the last sort of show we had in heavy rotation that we were interested in, like, now what? Do you know what I mean? I was listening to my, last one was, oh, yeah. Yeah, because I'm sure, because that was only, what, like a first season, right? So it's quite easy to sort of finish that up. Was that one being released weekly at the time you were watching? Oh, but did get the Dropout subscription. Oh, okay. Oh, that would be cool. My sister-in-law and my nephew came over yesterday. And she was saying how they went and saw the new D&D movie, the one with Chris Pine. They said it was really good. And I guess for people who are, like, who know a lot of the lore associated with D&D, it's a really good time. Same with, apparently, the new Super Mario movie. That there's lots of, like, little Easter eggs and stuff like that for people who have, like, grown up with all the games and stuff. So, I thought that was really awesome. School Spirits was weekly, yeah. I saw the D&D movie with the D&D obsessed husband. Oh, did he? Oh, excellent. That's good. See, you know when fans of the IP are very excited about it and enjoy it, that's when you know it's good, right? That's awesome. Okay, I think we have one little section left to do with this guy. I would like to maybe go in and like fill up some of these sections and make them a bit more even, but I don't know. Like, I'll be using the tiniest amount of fluff to do that, which I guess wouldn't be that bad. We'll see. We code Jonathan at each other regularly now with some giant men. Oh, that's amazing. I love that. I love when you like engage in media that then develops like inside jokes or like throwaway lines that everyone gets super into. But yeah, I can't remember the last time. I think the last movie I went to see in theaters. Oh no, I went to see something when I was in Alberta, I think. I think it was the most recent time. I can't remember now, but maybe. Hi Nathan, how you doing? Good afternoon. How are things? How's life? Hope your week's going well. Yeah, the last one that comes to mind that I saw in theaters is when Liam and I went to go see the Bob's Burgers movie. But I must have seen something in theaters since then, but also maybe not. I honestly don't know. But that's really good. I'm tempted. I was listening to my Spotify birthday, like 30th birthday playlist again today. Because I'm now really into like when my brain doesn't want to really think or I'm just like in a bit of a headspace. I have been listening to that now and that seems to be helping. And I heard the Simple Plan Happy Together cover again and I'm like, oh, maybe I'll watch the Lindsay Lohan Freaky Friday tonight. Could go back to bed, but can't be bothered. I'm on a flight sim. Flying to LaGuardia to catch the Manhattan skyline. Oh, very cool. I love it. You're like, I'm really tired and would like to go back to bed, but I literally cannot be asked. To be fair, that was kind of me last night on the couch. I was clearly exhausted and needed to go to bed, but I just couldn't muster the energy needed to get off the sofa to get into, like, go upstairs to get ready for bed. I had to, like, mentally psych myself up to, like, I had to rise from my half asleep state to get myself ready to go fully asleep. Just such a strange concept, but I'm sure I think it happens to many people that you're like, I'm way too comfortable and sleepy on the sofa to be bothered to go upstairs to actually go to bed. Okay. So I'm going to try and... No, I think I'm gonna regret that if I do. I was gonna try to like beef up these sections a little bit. Oops. But I'm just worried that then it's gonna like potentially get even worse in terms of these little sections being pushed down. So I think I'm gonna leave it for now. We still have tons of the felt left over, or the wool left over. So if we need to go, like if we, I don't know, if we want to, I'm wondering too if once we start doing all of these lines and whatever, if we need to go back in and like when definition might get lost in certain sections, then it might warrant it. But as of right now, I think I'll just leave it for my own peace of mind. If I go back to bed, then I'll get up tonight and then we have all night. Yeah, that's true. That is fair. You're somebody, that's the other thing too. If you're not a napper, or sometimes too, I know for me when I do nap, I have to plan my nap at a specific time or else I'm going to be, I'm not going to go to bed all night. So I get that. It's a fine balance. So yeah, I respect it. Is this from this one? Yeah. Okay, so if we put that there. And now we're onto number 3. Which looks like these 2 flowers. Oh, and a couple other things. Oh dear. Okay. It looks like these 2 flowers, and then it also looks like there's some lines that you do on this thing. So it wants the lines to be yellow. Okay. We shall see how it goes. Oh, yeah. No, it's a heat pad. So my shoulders are feeling a bit tight. So it's one of those very like oat pads that you heat up in the microwave and it acts like a little heat pad. So yeah, my shoulders are just feeling a little bit tight. So I decided to stick this on before stream. But yeah, other than that, I'm good. I think sometimes though I just like struggle with shoulder tension, and so just to ease that off a little bit. But yeah, other than that, okay. Though apparently, judging by my yawning, maybe I am sleepy as well. But I've got tea, so hopefully that helps wake me up. It is caffeinated. All right, on to the yellow floofs. So I'm pretty sure from the looks of it, I'm referencing, because it's like this is labeled, but it's not color labeled. Whereas this, I can like refer to the box that has the actual outline of what everything's gonna look like. And so, and then this is the black and white labeled version. But I feel like there's a possibility that I could miss something, especially because there's like varying levels like of font size in terms of the numbers. So it helps for me to have both, I think. But yeah, so now we actually get, so the cup is done. And now we get to start moving on to the actual contents of the cup, which is exciting. Yeah. But yeah, so back to I was listening to my playlist again. And I have a little bit of beef with Spotify. And I don't know, I think I can logic out why this is happening. Because basically, I have this playlist, right? And there's about 11 days worth of music in this playlist. So theoretically, I could listen to this for multiple walks with Shadow and never hear the same song twice. But for some reason, every time I go and start listening to this playlist again, it's on shuffle. And I think I skipped like 10 songs that were all songs that I had listened to yesterday. So I was like, I don't understand why that's happening. The only other thing I can think of is because Liam and I share an account, even though I'm not, like, that's the only playlist I've listened to over the last few days on my phone, he's probably listened to other songs on his Spotify since then, and so I wonder if that's counting it. And so basically every time I press play on this playlist, I wonder if it's restarting its shuffling process. Do you know what I mean? So that's what I'm wondering, if it's sort of like counting every new listen on my phone as a new listen of the playlist as opposed to just continuing from the last time I left off. But yeah, the other thing too, and I don't know if you guys have noticed this, because now, I guess, so Spotify now has like almost like a genius shuffle where you pick a song, and then if you put like recommended shuffle, then it'll shuffle songs that it thinks will like fit the same vibe of the song you previously listened to. And I'm like, that's all well and good, but I have a whole playlist here that has a variety of different stuff, and I would like to listen to all of that. So you can toggle that off to just have regular shuffle. Yeah, definitely. I feel like it probably is a really good call. I think for the purposes of what I'm trying to listen to, though, I'm like, I already got a big ol' eclectic mix of stuff. So I do not want to listen to any more. Like, I don't want to listen to different things. But that is just me. I'm very concerned. There's a color in the middle, but I don't know what color it wants me to use. It looks like a brown, but yeah, I guess if you have like little playlists with just a few songs, I definitely think that it would be helpful. But I'm like, there's 11 days worth of songs on this playlist. There's no need for me to add any more. And also no need for me to have listened to another one, like listen to the same songs. But yeah, so that is my current theory, that because Liam is listening to the account on his phone, it then counts those in between me listening to it plays. So then when I go to start the playlist over, I'm just picking up where I've left off on my phone, but it's almost counting it as a restart, which is a bit strange. But I was listening to, again, it came across the Happy Together cover by Simple Plan. And so now I have the desire to watch the Lindsay Lohan Freaky Friday again. So that might be what I do tonight. Because Liam's out for more leaving drinks with his co-workers. So there were two people that were retiring this year. And so one of them had like, just like drinks. It was somebody in his team. But then there's somebody who's like within the whole company. So they're going out for like a bougie dinner today. The The other thing I need to do is figure out what I'm going to... Well, I think I've figured it out yet. But usually, I think I've spoken about this before. When Liam isn't going to be home for dinner, that's usually when I eat salmon. Because Liam's not a big fish person. And so that's usually when I make myself salmon. But I don't have any salmon. Because this is the second time in the month that he's not been home for dinner. And so I've already used up my previous salmon stash. So I need to find something else. But I figured it out. But I was just like, damn, I need to buy more in the future so that this doesn't happen again. Yeah, exactly. I gotta go get some salmon. So I think next food delivery we do, I will get 2 fillets to freeze instead of 1. 2 packs instead of 1 pack. And then that way I got multiple portions of emergency salmon. Multiple emergency salmon portions. Oh, so you know how I've told the story about how there's this old lady who we're convinced is a Disney princess because she feeds this fox and this crow in a section that Shadow and I walk in the morning? Well, the last 2 days, did we walk past there yesterday? No. But twice this week, I've walked past that section, and Shadow and I have seen the fox, just like, hanging out on the side, no big deal, whatever. But I've not run into the old woman, and so now I'm, like, a little bit concerned. Like, the fox looked fine. He didn't look, like, super emaciated or anything like that. But I'm now a bit concerned that I'm like, oh, maybe the old lady hasn't been to feed him in a few days. Like, I hope she's okay. And then by extension, I hope that the fox stays okay. Because he just, like, hangs out outside, like, the entrance to this little forest area. And also, too, last 2 times I've seen him, he, like, hangs out by the entrance, and, like, right near the entrance a little bit is, like, a road, and every time I look at him, and I think he's maybe gonna cross the street, it's, like, after Shadow and I have walked past him, I'm always super paranoid. I'm like, I really hope you don't try to cross the street and get hit by a car, Mr. Fox. I'm really concerned about you. But yeah, so I hope maybe, we're just missing each other, and it's not that the old lady isn't around, it's just that we're on different, like, walking schedules right now, hopefully. I hope so. Because I'm a little bit concerned for our fox friend. I have no idea how the crow is doing. To be fair, I don't think I actually met the crow. I think I was going another direction when I was chatting to that woman the other day about her crow. But I saw the fox, and I saw her with her, like, bit of chicken to give the fox the one time. So, I'm not sure what the crow... I'm sure the crow is fine. I don't know. I have a feeling that, like, the crow's got other shit to do. Yeah, right? I'm sure they're both okay. I appreciate that, Kat. I hope so, too. I assume so. But there were tons of dogs out on a walk today. I don't know what, like... Because, again, I don't think that we were... Maybe we were, like, a tad ahead of schedule, like, a tad earlier. Like, I actually woke up at a decent time today, maybe. But, I don't know. And even, too, like, the weather was nice, but it wasn't, like, particularly, like, amazing. So, it was a bit kind of, like, it was wild to me that there were so many people out walking their dogs this morning. But it was nice, because Shadow, I think, only reacted to, like, one of them. So, that was good. It was towards the beginning. He, like, gave a little bark at them. And I was like... Okay, rude. But the other ones, it always, I don't know, it's one of those things, I guess, when, like, sometimes when he does misbehave, and then I always get a bit worried, like, okay, he's gonna, like, bark at dogs, and he's just saying hi, but sometimes he sounds like a real asshole, and I don't want the owners to, like, think poorly of him. So I always feel a little bit, like, I don't know, it makes me feel better when we're walking past another dog, and their dog starts barking first. And then it's even better if Shadow doesn't react to this dog barking. And then I'm like, okay, cool. We're like, the well-behaved walkers today or something like that. Because there was like, I think it was like a miniature schnauzer. And we were on the opposite side of the road. And this dog just like started going apeshit. Even to the point where like Shadow and I were like, we would walked far away. Because like we were like, they were coming up this way. We were walking. And then they went this way to the point where, like, the owner had to stop in front of the dog. So I looked back, and Shadow was, like, sniffing, doing his own thing, like, wasn't concerned. And then I watched, and the woman was standing in front of her dog, and the little dog was, like, physically trying to look around her to, like, see Shadow and see where we were going and continue barking. And I was like, goddamn, little dude, like, you have no chill. But yeah, thankfully, like I said, Shadow was completely indifferent, so that's always really nice. But you just never know sometimes. It's like every once in a while, like he'll just have not a care in the world, and then there'll be certain dogs that he just decided he has a problem with, and I'm like, you don't have a problem with any other dogs. I don't understand why this is a thing you're doing now. But who knows? Maybe they look at him funny. Maybe when they bark first, he, like, remembers. I don't know. But yeah, thankfully it was okay. Oh, I don't know if you remember. This was, I think, last week or the week before. But do you remember when I talked about the woman who was, like, kind of, like, the bitchy woman who has this dog who seems to hate when the dog and Shadow play together? You know? Ah, Potato, thank you so much for the resub. Good morning. Do you have your coffee in hand? Big stretch. Let's do a big stretch together. Big stretch. But yeah, so you remember the bitch with the dog. And then there was, like, a few weeks before where I saw her walking with her dog back from the forest, and Shadow and I were walking a different route, and I wanted Shadow to cooperate so we could follow her and see where she lived. But then he was too busy, like, sniffing and whatever, and I was like, you know what, I probably should stop being super nosy. I'm just gonna leave it. Well, the other day, we saw them again. We were walking in a different route, and they were walking back opposite side of the road. And her dog kind of looked at him. Luckily, Shadow wasn't super interested, but I looked at the woman, and she looked at me, and I smiled at her, and she smiled back like an acknowledgement smile. So I was like, oh, okay. Okay, so you're not like an Uber bitch. You have smiled in acknowledgement. So I'm like, okay. And I was hoping I was going to get to see where she lived this time, but then we walked past and she was talking to somebody in a car, and also her dog was, like, being super sus of Shadow. Not barking, but very much like, oh, where are you going? What are you doing? That I was like, it's going to be real awkward and complicated if we try to slow down and, like, wait for them to keep walking to see what's going on. But I was a little bit like, oh, okay, so you're not, like, completely made of ice. You know what I mean? I'm like, she has a soul. She has a smile. So yes, my completely unnecessary, because, you know, this is just all me just trying to create drama in my own life. A lot of it doesn't matter. It's indifferent. But a lot of it is just like, oh, this is this unintentional saga I have created about the woman with the dog. And so maybe she just is angry at her dog. I'm sure, to be fair, I already don't think it has anything to do with me and Shadow. I'm always just like, why can't our dogs play together? Made coffee, haven't sipped it yet. Oh, hopefully it is of sipping temperature soon. Get the sweet, sweet taste of that wake-up juice. All right. So I'm a little bit concerned. Not concerned, but again, time is an illusion, nothing is real. There's only like a week, less than 2 weeks left of April, which seems bananas to me, because it feels, again, like it's just flown by. I've worked out in 4 weeks, my family is going to be here, which is both very exciting, but also kind of a little bit overwhelming, because I'm not sure if I'm ready for that yet. I'm like, oh, we're gonna get, yeah, it just means like we're in the full swing of shit now. So it'll be exciting, but I also know that's when like all of the chaos kicks off. So I am both mentally preparing myself for it, but also being very excited at the same time. It's a fine balance. It's so funny. I don't know if I told you guys. So of course, typical timing, right? Liam's work is doing like a complete office renovation, and so they're not just like getting new desks, they're like ripping up the floor and like putting in bigger like new walls and like completely like refurbing the entire area. And of course all of this is happening next month when we have like everyone visiting and our like reception stuff and like all of this stuff, and we're like, oh yeah, oh, okay, cool. So typical, our house is gonna be a little bit of chaos and his office is gonna be a whole lot of chaos all at the same time. But yeah, exactly, having visitors is stressful. Luckily, like, not everyone is staying with us, and it'll be of varying levels. And also, too, my mom is pretty good, because she's realizing, too, how much of, like, an introvert she is. So she is, like, made plans for, like, every other day to ensure that we have, like, proper downtime during other parts of the week, because I think we both need it. So she always does that. She's like, yeah, we'll stay somewhere else, or we'll not, do this, or do something separate to give Tasha a break and not overwhelm her. And I'm like, thank you. Thank you for doing that. But yeah, Liam wants to, because it's finally warm enough as well. Yeah, she is, honestly. But we'll see, though, because, once she gets here, she'll be like, oh, and we can just go and do this, and no, we can just go and do this, and I'll be like, listen, rein it in, please. But yes, definitely. She's like, okay, we need to make sure Tasha has sufficient downtime so as to not be overwhelmed and have a meltdown before she's meant to be having a super happy, fun party time. But yeah, it's finally nice enough, like, getting to the point where it's, like, nice more consistently than it is gray and miserable, which is very, different for the UK. In so much that, like, we never finished, like, we got our garage renovated last year. I guess kind of going into this year. Or no, going into last year, actually. It was last year, fully last year. And there's a section that is going to be sort of like an outdoor barbecue pit patio area. But we didn't have enough time last year to lay the tiles and like finish doing all of that. And we also had a really hard time getting them delivered. So now everything is slowly sort of getting to a point. So Liam also wants to do that next month, which I think is a good idea. But I'm just like, okay, that's another thing that needs to be organized in and amongst stuff. So I'm just like, very, I don't know, like getting very aware of all of the little things and / big things that need to happen or are going to get done sort of next month. And I guess to be fair, some of the stuff does not include me, but some of the stuff does affect me, right? So it's like, okay, if we're going to be doing, having people over to do construction on the patio, like just friends and family and stuff like that, it's like that's still something that I need to be aware of in case we're like, hosting people, or like, if there's plans to go places and do things, like I need to know for like shadow organizing and stuff like that. So it's just a little bit of like mental coordination on my part. And again, I do think though, because I'm in like a bit of a sensitive mood this week, it seems, I think I'm blaming PMS symptoms, which is very stereotypical, but I also feel like there's some truth to it. So I'm trying to not overwhelm myself with stuff that has not happened yet and has yet to happen, because I know that I'm in a sensitive little bitch mood this week. So I'm like, do not freak out about stuff, because you don't need to right now. And also you definitely shouldn't right now, because you're aware of the sensitive state of your brain currently. So, hopefully, though, this will pass. And this is why I didn't want to do puzzles today. I was totally like, oh, maybe, the state that my brain is in is not in a headspace for trying to solve puzzles that I know I will not be very good at. I guess, we could have done a walkthrough, but I personally don't find playing games relaxing. Sometimes, but very rarely I don't. And so I find crafting relaxing. And I especially seem to find stabbing sharp objects into other objects quite relaxing. Let me take this off. I'm getting warm now. But yeah, no, it is. And it's one of those things that I feel, I don't know, I guess because when you're growing up as somebody who is socialized as female, and anytime you experience a negative emotion, the like insult or the joke is like, oh, you must be on your period, you must be like meh, whatever, like as a negative sort of stereotype, and it was used to discount feelings for so long. Like I feel like I've had a bit of like, I've had to come to terms in my adult life or even in just like a general life to be like, no, actually it does impact me, and it's not an insult because it's actually real. But it doesn't mean that when I'm not PMSing or on my period that you can then discount my feelings as just me being hormonal. It's like there is some truth to it, but I also don't think that you should be using it as a joke to undermine my feelings. You know what I mean? And so I think there's been a bit of that, like, yeah, it's almost like because you grew up with it being a joke, you then have to be like, well, no, it's obviously not that, because that's like a bad, negative, shitty, jokey thing that's not actually real. And then it's like you get to a point where you're like, no, actually, it is a thing, and it's okay that it's a thing. And then I'm like, I'm allowed to blame my PMS or my period on these things, or blame these things on that, because that is real and it's valid and it's okay. But it doesn't always, I don't know. I feel like it was for so long a joke, and so I always am trying to be like, oh, well, what are the possible reasons why I'm feeling this way? What are other things? And it's like, it could just be hormones, and that's fine. You know? I want people to try, yeah. So they know how much pain. Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely. Okay, I'm just trying to make this a bit consistent because I feel like there's still some like little kind of white space gaps. It's very subtle, but just trying to like really fill in each individual kind of quadrant to make sure it's like to achieve full coverage. Yeah, it was even to the point where yesterday I went for a walk with Shadow, and we were not involved. I just saw, like, there was the road and there was the pavement, and there was a couple with a dog on one side and an older person. And at first I thought they were like just catching up and like, you know, oh, hi, so-and-so people in the neighborhood. And then as we got closer, it looked like they were kind of like having a confrontation. And, like, the woman looked really upset, and the guy, like, the older man was kind of looking there a bit dumbfounded. And I could almost, like, sense before I could hear what was going on that I'm like, okay, the energy here feels very tense and, like, confrontational. And my sensitive little soul can't handle this, even just walking past it. And then at one point, I overheard the woman almost saying, like, well, I think you should apologize. And the old man was like, oh, I have nothing to apologize for. And I was like, keep walking, Shadow, keep walking, Shadow. Like, oh my God. But just that, like, tiny bit of exposure to that situation, that's when I could tell. I'm like, okay, I'm in a sensitive mood this week. Because it wasn't, like, honestly, it just felt that way. And I'm sure to the, like, average person maybe, or maybe if I was in less of a sensitive headspace, that wouldn't have, like, bothered me as much. Because, again, no one was yelling. Everyone was talking calmly. But they just all seemed very upset. And I was like, I can't, nope. But I was like, oh, thank God. Like, and then of course too, though, it's like when you walk into that, it's like you have to almost like de-escalate your nervous system a bit. Because I got really sort of like tense walking past that, even though I was not involved. I don't even think they acknowledged me. The only problem was that like their dog saw Shadow, and so the guy had to move with his dog out of the way so that they wouldn't like interact with each other. So that was a thing. Now I'm wondering if it's the dog we saw today, but I don't think it was. And so and then of course you walk past that and I'm like, nothing happened. I was not like, you know what I mean? Nothing happened to me, but I could still feel like my chest like really tight, and you have to kind of like mentally sort of talk yourself down, being like, nothing happened to you. Everything is fine. There's no use worrying about an interaction that you are not involved in. Like, calm down, you know what I mean? But it still was one of those things that I was like, now my energy is so out of whack. And then Shadow found a chicken bone and ate it when we were coming home. And I was like, listen, I don't have, no. So, I got in and Liam's like, how'd you go? How's it going? And I'm like, I am not in a good headspace. So I had a little cry, got some shit done. And then luckily I felt better because we had like family coming over in the evening. And I was like, I would like to be a little bit more pleasant to be around by the time everybody shows up. And thankfully I was able to, so that's good. But yeah, I don't know if anybody else has that. Like, as soon as, and that's the thing that I like struggle with. And luckily, you know, like, I think it's okay. Like, you know, people have arguments, like things like that happen. Yeah, and it's so unnerving. And I don't like it. It's like when other people's energies are just so angry or negative, and then I'm like so impacted by that, and I'm like, I don't like this. But yeah, the worst is like, and I think that's the thing too, like, I think that's why I can't, like, because you know how two people will watch, like, or I'll see articles, or there'll be like a TikTok of somebody filming someone like being really disrespectful and rude to some like airline staff, or like doing something, you know, basically being aggressively confrontational or being like rude or whatever. And people watch those and share them like as a means to like shame the individual for like, you know, doing bad behavior and stuff. And I'm like, absolutely cool. Like, they deserve their reckoning for being a shitty person. But I personally cannot watch and interact with that content because it actively, like, yeah, gets me riled up. And then I have to sit there with, like, a discomfort in my body all day because I watched some random stranger I don't know yell at, like, a wait staff somewhere in the world. And then it's like, okay, cool. Because I think there was one today. I was watching the Phil DeFranco show, and they showed a clip of this guy because there was a baby on this flight that like didn't stop crying for 20 minutes and was yelling and made everyone uncomfortable. So then this grown-ass man decided that he was going to start yelling just to prove a point, to be like, well, if the baby can yell, then I can yell too. Like, shut the baby up and then I'll shut up, sort of thing. And that just made me, I was like, wow, that's really uncomfortable. Like, really uncomfortable. And then I was like, I'm actively uncomfortable, and I'm not even the person on the plane. Like, I can't even imagine being in a situation where, like these viral, like, aggressive escalation moments happen on planes, in restaurants, in stores, and I'm like, what are the other bystanders? How are they, like, I hope they're okay. You know what I mean? Like, obviously, the people having the interaction, the person that's, like, not, you know, the victim of the situation, obviously, you want them to be okay. But I'm like, all the bystanders, I'm like, all you sensitive little empaths, like, are you dying right now? Yeah, apparently. Yeah, it was this person who was yelling, and then even the cops were like, oh, sir, like, you need to stop. And he's like, oh, you're gonna put cuffs on the baby? Because I'm just doing what the baby's doing. And it's like, okay, I get that you're, like, upset. But maybe, and then of course his wife is there with him and is just like being really quiet and not saying anything. And I'm like, I feel really bad for everyone involved. I'm either a wallflower or a reckoning when it comes to dealing with people. I've noticed with people when somebody's, yeah. Mm-hmm. That's amazing, though, JC. I think that's, like, I find it admirable that you are able to confront people for doing shitty things, because I think it's important. I think it is important for people to be called out. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Like, I think it's important that people exist who can call out people who are being really shitty. But that's something that I would really struggle with. I even have a hard enough time, like, it's, you know, yeah, like, I, even just in my own personal relationships, I have a hard time, like, expressing, like, discomfort and upsetness and things like that. Just because, like, in a way, it's good because I'm in a position where it doesn't happen very often, but because it doesn't happen very often, I don't have a chance to, like, practice what, like, normal or, like, you know, healthy disagreement discussions, like, you know, things can be. Because I guess, I don't know, like, if all confrontation, I don't know if confrontation in its, like, truest sense is all really aggressive and angry. I think so, because I think there's, like, you can have a discussion or even have a disagreement that doesn't devolve into, like, a confrontational argument. I think that is possible. I don't think, like, yeah, I'm not sure, but still, like, just disagreements in general, I find it really, I have to work on that. And I think, too, that also comes down to, like, people pleasing or, you know, like, wanting to not upset people and stuff like that as well, right? So it's, like, that, you know, desire to be liked by everyone. And so if you upset somebody, then you're no longer liked, and then you question your self-worth as a human and all that kind of good stuff that you do when you don't have very good self-esteem and are a people pleaser. You know, all of that good stuff that I've had to work through in therapy and such. My husband's really great about that. Sex and Maurice, yeah, that's good. I know, I'm either chill or a rabbit trash panda bite at the ankles. That's, hey man. I have seen, like, variation. Cool. I was gonna say, I have seen variations of that, too. The chill or rabid trash panda in relation to people who are, like, very anxious. And so people will say, like, and to be fair, I'm this way regardless. I don't have two options, you know? Because they say, you know, I'm really anxious and won't do things for myself or feel awkward and insecure, but if it's for a friend, then I will. I think one of the examples was, like, somebody wanted to ask for ketchup but was, like, too nervous about it. And the person, like, the original poster was, like, if I was asking for ketchup for myself, I wouldn't do it, but because my friend wants ketchup, I can go up there and boldly ask for something. And I'm like, that's an interesting dynamic as well. When you're like, I am too scared and nervous to do this thing for myself, but I will ride or die for my friends. That's another dynamic that seems similar to that one. Where it's, like, chill or confrontational. Where it's, like, you know, introverted and will not bother anyone. And then will absolutely raise hell for the people closest to them. Yeah, my husband helps me with a lot. Yeah. Yeah, why is it? Yeah, it's true. Yeah, I don't know. I guess it's because it's, like, less impersonal, maybe? Because if the person says no, it's not, like, a direct fault of, like, it's not a direct attack on your own personal well-being or character. It's, like, externalized to another person. I don't know. Or maybe because a lot of, like, anxious people are, like, deeply caring, and so their desire to care for their loved ones, like, overrides their anxiety about life. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. I just think that's, yeah, So I'm trying to think. I'm like, to be fair, I probably am not asking for anything for myself or for anyone. I'm a bit better at that. Before, I used to, like, not bother anyone, like, even people whose, like, literal job it was to assist me on things. I still struggle with, like, if I can't find something in a store, asking, like, a salesperson. I'm like, I don't want to bother them. And also, like, why can't I find this thing myself? It should be so simple. But I've gotten better. I am better at asking, but usually it's because I get to a point where I'm like, I'm literally gonna have a meltdown if I don't find this thing. I need to ask somebody. My husband and I both help. Yeah, that's really good. That's a really nice dynamic. And that's what you want, right? Like, you want somebody who can support you when you're going through stuff, and then also when you're, like, thriving. You know what I mean? Like, it's a nice, happy balance. And also knowing how, because I think a lot of times people, like, their hearts are in the right place, but they maybe don't necessarily know how to help. And so by, like, growing together as a couple, you can sort of work out, like, either through trial and error or through communication, like, what works the best and what the, like, signals are. If you can pocket the room right now at a point, I'll think of something you'll like, ha 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 ha. That's so sweet. That's really good. Yeah, I think it's good because actually Liam and I were talking about it the other day because we went to his brother's, like my brother-in-law's 30th birthday party, and there was a point where I think I was getting kind of quite overwhelmed, but like didn't realize it at the time. And so Liam was kind of like, okay, I think we should like make a move now, like let's get ready to go and stuff. And I was like, okay, cool, like we got ready. And I got in the car and he was like, yeah, are you okay? And I was kind of like, oh fuck, no, I don't think I am. Like I'm just realizing now like how overstimulated and kind of anxious I am. And he was like, yeah, I could kind of tell. That's why I thought, you know, we better pack up and get going. And I'm like, oh shit, like thank you. I think it was like I was just trying really hard to like just push through and hold it together that I didn't realize until I was like outside of the situation that I'm like, oh shit, yeah, actually I am overstimulated and a little bit overwhelmed. I'm glad that you knew that and we could leave that situation. Yeah, we both grown as a couple for sure. Yeah, absolutely. And I think that's the nice thing too when you have those, when you recognize things and you're like, oh, okay, we want to, yeah, work through this, as opposed to just being like, oh no, we're incompatible. It's like, no, like there's things, you know, if you're in a position and it's not doing, you know, harm to anybody, I feel like it's sort of like, not like your duty, but sort of like, you know, if you make a commitment to somebody, you want to try to work through all that kind of stuff. And then obviously if you're not, you know, like I just like a desire to try at least, you know what I mean? And then if you do try and it doesn't work, then obviously you can reassess and stuff. But yeah. No, I think it is good. And then as well too, like as you spend more time with somebody, you sort of like know what their kinds of triggers are. Yeah. Absolutely. I think it helps too as well, like when people are naturally kind of observant people. And sort of, I guess it's sort of like what a lot of introverts do, right? Or empathetic people, is they sort of spend more time observing the world around them and less like actively engaging in the thick of it, so they can notice a lot more, which is helpful for a lot of people, myself included, because there'll be things where it's like, oh, I noticed this, and I'm like, I completely wouldn't have. And even too, like, I think sometimes the observations even like come from a place of curiosity. So I think every once in a while, and even I'll do it now too, where I'll be like, oh, I notice you do this thing, like, does it mean this, or like this is what I'm interpreting it meaning? Is that what it means, right? And then it'll be like, oh yeah, no, that is what it means. Or it's like, oh no, that's actually not what my intention is. It's actually this. And then you go, oh, okay, cool, now I know. Because I think sometimes too, like, especially even with like friendships or even like family or whatever, people grow up and they have like different associations to different words. And so some people may not realize that, like, okay, when you say this word, like, it's actually doesn't make me feel well. Like, it was funny because I think I remember having this conversation with my mom about my dad, and I don't even think my dad realized it, because I realized because they were visiting, and I can't remember what had happened. Oh, I think we were watching like a YouTube video or like listening to something, and it was another thing too that I think I realized, because there's people around me that as jokes they will like call each other stupid and stuff, being like, oh, you're being really stupid, or like, haha, like you're so stupid and stuff like that. And that always like really didn't sit right with me. And I was like, I think the other day, and then what had happened is I think like my dad was watching something that I really enjoyed. I was like, oh, I like this person. He goes, oh, this person's really stupid, like they're being really stupid, whatever. And I was really sort of like, I was sitting there and I'm like, why does this upset me? Like, why does this kind of hurt me or whatever? And then I was talking to my mom about it, and I said, oh, I think what happens is, like, if my dad is saying, like, people that I enjoy watching are stupid, I then internalize that myself to make it seem like it feels to me like I'm stupid in a way. Because it's like, well, if these people are stupid and I'm enjoying them, then that makes me stupid. And I was talking through this process with my mom, and she was like, you know, your dad isn't self-aware in that respect, that he has no idea that that's what he means by that. You know what I mean? And I'm like, yeah, no, that's fair. And then it's sort of like, okay, no, that's my association with that word, and that's my interpretation of it. But I know logically, and even too, like, I guess I've never asked him specifically, but it's like, I know, like, I logically know that my dad doesn't think I'm stupid. But it's just what his reaction, or the word he uses to describe something as silly, or something that he doesn't necessarily think is like entertaining or whatever, I then use that and like turned it back on myself. You know what I mean? Exactly. That's the thing. Some people use stupid to me. Exactly. And I think that's what it was. Because I think the same thing happened the other day where I heard somebody call someone stupid. And I was kind of like, I don't know, man. I think also, like, with kids, too. Like, I think I've heard someone was being silly, and they were like, oh, you have no brains, you're being stupid. And it's like, okay, but this is a child who's, like, growing and, like, trying to establish themselves in their own self-esteem. So if you mean silly, then maybe you'll say that, you know what I mean? Or at least, because I feel like it's probably, like, for me as an adult, thankfully, hopefully, I'm able to understand the difference that, like, people mean stupid to mean one thing and then mean something else. But it's like, if you're a child and you're learning what words mean, and you know that stupid is a bad word that means a certain thing, that can be really difficult, I assume. But yeah, so I noticed that the other day, and I was kind of like, ooh, I noticed that the other day, and then, of course, then it made me reflect on, like, my previous iterations of that word, being like, oh, okay, this is obviously something that doesn't sit right with me. And so, obviously, in the future, or with certain things, it might be worth me communicating, like, yo, when this word is said, like, this is how I interpret it. Maybe that's not your intention, but if it's not your intention, maybe use a different word. Or at least clarify to me what you're saying. Because I think most people wouldn't think, like, oh, I'm calling something this, I don't actually mean that. Or it's a joke. And it's like, okay, if it's a joke, it's not funny. It's actually making me feel bad. So maybe don't. You know what I mean? But, yeah. It's just interesting, like, how people use certain words, and then also, like, people's different relationship dynamics, and being like, okay, I would never want that said about me in my relationship, but if you are okay with that dynamic in your relationship, like, that's cool, you know? Yeah. Yeah, definitely. That's really interesting. It's usually not. That's really good that you have that level of communication. And it sounds really dumb. Or it sounds like it should be obvious, but it's really good that you have that relationship with your partner where you feel comfortable to be able to ask people those things. You know what I mean? Gotta focus on work now. Yeah, I'm glad you catch a bit of the stream too. I appreciate you guys so much. I love your work lurks. I appreciate you stopping by as always. I hope things go well for you. I hope you have a happy Thursday. Yeah, I'll just be here stabbing away. Stab, stab, stab. Make the picture look fab. But yeah, it was funny because a word that Liam and I ended up talking about was the word sure. So again, this is another thing. So when my parents were visiting, and you know, Liam being Mr. Host with the most, but he does it. He always says it's for selfish reasons, right? So if he's thirsty and wants a drink, he will then offer to see if anyone else wants a drink so that he can get himself a drink. And I was like, that's counterintuitive, because when we first got together, it was almost like, not like a bit of contention, but a little bit, because I would just like be like, okay, I'm ha ha ha. I see you, Nailogical Stan. You got the reference. I appreciate that. Currently wearing everything taco over top of my nails right now. But yeah, so one of the words was the word sure. So when my dad would offer, or Liam would offer to get people a drink, and he would, you know, ask my mom and ask my dad, like ask me like, oh, would you like a drink? And my dad would say, oh, sure. And Liam was saying it's like, it's hard, because then of course, then you ask what drink he would want. And then my dad, because he doesn't know what he wants, or he doesn't have a set thing, like he's Mr. kind of ADD and needs to kind of, you know, look and figure things out for himself and whatever. He would say, oh, he doesn't know, and then would like proceed to go in the kitchen and like rifle around and figure things out. But anyway, so he would say sure, and then I started saying that quite a bit. And not thinking anything of it, just like another word for yes. My husband keeps wanting to buy me, oh, you don't paint your nails anymore, aw. Luckily though, she has like merch stuff now, so you could rock like one of the hats or the slippers or something. That would be a fun way to still get some, you know, hollow in your life. Some hollow taco goodness in your life. But yeah, and so we were talking about it, and he goes, oh, like when you say sure, it sounds almost like you're just saying yes to be polite. It's almost like you're saying like, oh, I don't really care, but like whatever. Like that was sort of what he was equating that term to, which felt a bit like awkward, because it was almost like, it's almost like in a weird way, almost like a bit of like a miscommunication consent thing, right? Where it's like, unless you're saying actively yes, like with an enthusiastic yes, then it feels like a no. So to him, sure kind of just felt like you were just saying yes to be nice, but you actually didn't really want anything. And I was like, oh, like that's interesting, because that's absolutely not what I would have thought. Like that's not what it was. Exactly. But it's really funny now, because every once in a while he'll say sure to me. And then because I know that that's sort of how he feels about that term, because usually it's within the context of like me kind of not like freaking out, but sort of being like, oh, I kind of last minute like bought this thing or did this thing. Like, should I do this? I think it was a couple times I was like, oh, I should do this thing. And he just went, sure. And then I kind of was clocking that I'm like, I feel like when he says sure, he means I don't think it's necessary, but do what you want. You know what I mean? And so I told him that the other day, and that made him laugh. And he was like, yeah, I guess so. It means, like, yeah, whatever. But I guess to him, like, in a less dismissive way, but in a way that isn't, like, I don't know, it kind of is the same. But because I knew that, because he had expressed to me before that difference, it was kind of like, oh, yeah, so when you say it, it has the association in your kind of way. To just sort of be like, yeah, whatever, it's fine, you know? Which I thought was interesting. So I kind of interpret when he says sure that he kind of low-key means no. Even though when I told him about that, he said, no, that's absolutely not the case. When I say sure, I do mean, like, whatever. But I'm like, yeah, but if you're saying whatever, it's also kind of a no then, isn't it? I don't know why, but these feel like they're not covering well. And I don't know if it's because the black line is so stark, contrast to the yellow. I don't know. Or maybe because I'm like, where I'm stabbing is sort of tapering just before the black line, and so it's looking like white when it shouldn't. I don't know. I'm a bit confused. I think maybe if I stab on the line, that will make it feel a little bit more fully covered. Yeah, I don't think it is. I kind of like that it is, but maybe I think that's going to get a bit confusing and inconsistent the more we work on this. Because, like, I kind of kept it a little bit exposed on the cup, and I kind of liked that. But when you look at the drawing, because I almost find that on the finished product, it almost looks like there's no definition, because there's absolutely kind of no black line. But then I'm also like, okay, maybe that's the point. I'm not sure. I think I like the outline component of it, but I think I need to make the outline maybe not as thick. So if I stab like directly on it, then maybe some of it will go in and some of it will sort of stay and it'll look a little bit better. I'm not sure. But yeah, completely on outline. It's sort of like, you know, when you do a cross stitch and you don't do back stitching and it kind of just looks a little flat. That's kind of what the finished product on the like box kind of looks like to me. But as we move forward, I think because some of the lines are fully meant to be felted on top of. So I think probably for consistency's sake, it probably makes the most sense to get rid of the lines completely for everything. But I'm not sure. Again, we have so much wool, so if it gets to a point where it's like, okay, no, we do need to get rid of everything. Oh, did you? That's so cool. What did you make? I love that. Oh, I finished yesterday, another thing I did. I finished the coffee cross stitch for my father-in-law yesterday. I'll show you guys. I'll show ya. See? It's all finished. And I actually like finished the back and stuff as well. So I'm very excited. So yeah, that's all done, which is excellent. That's like another thing I don't need to worry about anymore. It was a quote from Last of Us. Older just means oh, that's really awesome. I like that. That's so good. Hi, good afternoon, Aurora. How are you doing? How are things? I hope little man is doing well. Doing okay and well today. Oh well. Well and or okay. Words are hard. Oh, really? Gee, sit down and eat. Oh, yeah. That's what I ended up doing with my 90s baby pattern. I, like, made the image on Canva and then spit it out into a program to generate it. That's awesome. That's a thing that Liam and I still need to watch. He's well and okay. Perfect. Excellent. Yeah, I found out because obviously it's on what, HBO? And that's not a site that we have here. And so I think I don't know if they're doing Last of Us weekly, but I think the only way to watch The Last of Us here in all of their episodes is like to illegally download it. I'm not sure where the other options are right now. If anyone else is in the States and knows how to watch The Last of Us. Yeah, I figured it was from the 3rd episode just because I'm aware of that. That's the Nick Offerman episode, right? The big old tearjerker episode. So though I've not watched it, I'm aware of the master class in gut-wrenching emotion that one is from. You boo-hooed, yeah. But yeah, I think my father-in-law has all of them downloaded, so we need to just bring a flash drive over to him so that he can put it on something for us. But just something we've not gotten around to. And then, like, yeah, it just seems... to be fair, we have been watching a bit more Naruto, but I think we're on to filler episodes again. It's so frustrating, because, like, when they're not filler episodes and they're canon, they're, like, they go by so quickly, and you're like, oh, wow, shit, like, another one that's already over. And then when they're filler episodes, especially if they're, like, a filler arc that lasts a few episodes, you're like, damn, this is dragging. Which is annoying, but... So I think we're on a few filler episodes right now. So we can always tell when we've, like, not picked it up and watched it for a while. It's because we obviously got, like, filler episode fatigue. Though, to be fair, sometimes I find filler episodes in anime shows can be interesting because they'll provide more backstory about something. So there was one that was, like, a battle that had already happened, but it was from a perspective from a different... like, from the perspective of a different person. So even though it was kind of repetitive, there was still, like, a bit of a fresh take. So that made it a bit, like, it made it interesting to watch. Whereas other ones are, like, throwback episodes that completely, like, don't matter. And you're like, okay, this is annoying. Carry on, please. Okay. I feel like this is a little bit better now that we've decreased the exposed amount of the black outline. But yeah, because the other portion that we need to make yellow are actual lines. So that then completely, like, defeats the purpose of trying to keep all of the outlines visible, because some of them, the actual thing we're meant to be doing is covering them explicitly. Whereas these ones, it's, like, filling in. But we'll see. Again, we will cross that bridge when we get there, and if we have to go over and, like, fill this out to make sure that there's no, like, black line exposure, then that's fine. We can do that. But another day. Munching away as we speak. What's for lunch? I guess it's more like Lupper at this point, isn't it, Aurora? It's late. It's a Lupper time. Okay. Okay, so I think we'll do the same with this one. Just again, get rid of. Haha, is this the bouquet you're gonna throw? Ooh, chicken bacon pasta bake. That sounds really nice. Could you imagine? Yeah, if I just like yeeted a felt. To be fair, needle felted flower bouquet would be kind of cool. But no, I don't think we're actually, I think my mom asked about that and I was like, no, there's no need for us to have flowers. I don't think we're gonna do a traditional like bouquet toss. Though that would be funny. Ooh, you got a scone to tuck in after. That'll be really nice. Are those the ones that you made? Yeah, they didn't have any. Rude. Rude. They didn't want, I guess they didn't want to have afternoon tea that day. They were too busy on whatever it was they were doing. Too busy booking accommodations for things. They probably forgot. Oh, okay. Oh, well, see, it wasn't like they had no sweets. That's fair. We'll allow it. They just had like a third of an afternoon tea experience. Like, speaking of desserts, Dej, did you eat cheesecake? Because I sent Bob X home with some cheesecake for you yesterday. So I don't know if you've had a chance to consume it yet. Rude, right? Yeah, truly. You're like, excuse me, I'm offended. It's one of those things, again, it's a fine line with, like, you want people to eat them up, but you also kind of maybe want to save some for yourself. You had it today, excellent. I'm glad. It was funny because yesterday, because again, like I said, we had people over, and we still have, because we had 2 cheesecakes that we need to, well, 1 and like a third of cheesecakes that needed to be eaten. And I think now we have about, I don't know if we have half or we have like a third left. And I was saying to Liam, I'm like, oh, we could have sent cheesecake home with your mom and stuff too. And he was like, well, I didn't want to give away all the cheesecake because I also would still like to eat some. It's like, fair enough. You know, it's a fine balance of, I don't want to be eating it for 3 weeks straight because it might go off. But also, I don't want to give it all away because it's still tasty and I would like to consume it myself. So maybe that's what they thought. They were like, Aurora worked really hard on these. She might want to actually eat the fruits of her labor, so we don't want to tuck into them. It's true, yep. Again, fine balance. All right. Yeah, I think that's better. This, I don't know. We'll see. We'll move on, and again, we'll go back and do like fine detailed stuff later. I made chocolate Rice Krispies. Ooh, that sounds really nice. And sent them back with a whole batch. No. That's so funny. Yeah. Oh, that's so funny. He comes home and he's like, excuse me, where are the Rice Krispie treats? And you're like, You're like, we had some before? Oh, that's so funny. He's like, no. Like, you make the treats in my house, Therefore, I get a cut. It doesn't matter how many I've had previously. It's like the kitchen tax, you know? It's like you've made baked goods in the kitchen that I am a part of. Therefore... Kitchen tax, yeah. Yeah, absolutely. You can be like, listen. Today I made a, basically made a floor plan, for the reception. So I asked the venue, I was like, oh, do you have a floor plan so that I can, cause on the day I think like different things are going to be arriving. And then that way, like the people there can sort of direct the stuff that's being delivered of where to set up. Cause we have 2 arcade machines. We have like a photo backdrop and stuff like that. And so I was like, oh, do you have like a breakdown, like or a floor plan so that I can sort of indicate where I think, like where we would like things set up, and then you can let me know like if that's a viable option or not. And the woman was like, oh, we don't have a floor plan, but here I made like a very crude drawing. So she made like a very crude pencil drawing and then sent a picture of it and sent it to me. So then I decided to take that, and then I also I cross-referenced with gallery photos on their website to try to work out an actual like overlay floor plan. So I spent like an hour in in Microsoft Paint today, like drawing squares and like labeling stuff. And I don't think it's to scale, but hopefully. And then I'm sitting there doing this and I'm like, is this a bit OTT? Like, am I being over the top in this instance? I don't know. But I guess I could have been like set it all up willy-nilly, but it felt like that would be helpful. So we'll see. I have to send it to them and then watch them be like, because I did check, because I said it's probably good, because where I think that the photo backdrop should go, it looks like there might be an emergency fire exit there. So I don't know if it can actually be placed there, or if it has to be pushed up and then people can still get out around that way. I don't know. That's why we gotta ask and send them. So we'll find out. Okay, so now we need to make these like little lines. So all of these lines are meant to be felted. And so I feel like we need to be like we need like tiny amount of thread or wool, or what the fuck is this called? Wool. That's what it's called. Wow. Oh, it's been a busy morning. Oh no. What's going on? Also, did your internet finally get sorted out? When did all that get sorted? Because it was being really difficult yesterday. Or not yesterday, on Thursday. Or Tuesday. Honestly, it's not even 6 o'clock yet, you guys. Why is my brain... People keep coming here. Oh no. They're like, excuse me. Can't you see that I'm busy? I don't have time to do your job for you. was fine yesterday. Oh, wow. Yeah, maybe. That's so weird that it was just totally unexplained. It was just like a freak anomaly of a day, and now it's back to normal. That's so strange. And so frustrating too, because then if it happens again, it's like, okay, well, what could the problem be? This is very tentative. Like, sort of, kind of, maybe? I assume we're probably gonna have to go over these again. But maybe not. Oh, really? Are they sort of like a monopoly as well? Because I think that's the thing here, where especially with like internet and things, there's like all these different providers, but I think all of their services run through the same line. I think there's like two services, like two like internet line installers or whatever. And so it's kind of like, okay, yeah, you can swap for like cheaper internet for all these different providers, but if the internet is slow or something like that, like that's something that switching providers won't necessarily solve, because they're all going on the same line, so it's kind of irrelevant. It's more just about price stuff. Yeah, it is. To be fair, that seems to be the situation everywhere. Such concentration. Just trying to get some line discipline here. The tiniest little lines. Kind of. Watch, we just spend like the next half hour just on these little lines. I wouldn't be surprised. I guess the other thing too is, even if the like, it's kind of hard to see if the lines are completely accurate. Because the white space and the yellow space is so small and then so like tonally the same. So I think once we add, I think it looks like an orange is going in here. Once we add that, hopefully it'll be easier to make like a more obvious division in the lines, and then it won't, I don't know, it'll feel like these are real lines and not just. Because now that one looks really good, but the other one kind of doesn't look as good. I don't know. They're too tiny for you to even tell. Okay. Perhaps. feel like I've been competing. Like, so we ordered Domino's yesterday, which is great. I feel like of all of the gluten-free pizza, like chain, like the gluten-free offerings at chain restaurants, Domino's seems to be the best. But their pizzas are so salty, and I think it's probably just fast food in general, like, is so salty now that I already have like a bit of a dry mouth issue. I think probably because of the medications that I'm on. And so, like, my whole mouth just feels like devoid of moisture, and so I'm just slowly, and I'm sure talking to, like, I can just feel like my mouth is dried out. But it was so good. Though I've noticed, like, because obviously with pizza chains, the most common, like, sauce toppings, it seems to be, oh, is it? Yeah. I think, too, to be fair, I do feel like probably their regular pizza, I think people seem to prefer, but it's because they offer, like, their gluten-free pizza is kind of trash. So that's why we never order from them. That's annoying that there's none near you, though. But yeah, so they offer like a tomato, like your standard tomato base, but they also offer barbecue based pizzas. And it's funny because I always think about when I was playing Cook Serve Delicious, and one of the game things is you have to make different types of food, right? And one of them is making pizza. And they offer all these different base options. And to be fair, when I've made DIY pizzas with Liam, sometimes I've done a pesto base. But they were also like, oh, you could do like a nacho cheese base or an Alfredo base. And so I don't know if anybody's ever had like a white sauced as a base pizza before. And like if any chain restaurants would do that, or if that's just some like bougie restaurant pizza stuff. You know what I mean? To be fair, I don't even know if I've seen a pesto pizza base like in a restaurant. I think sometimes I've seen one where they do like a pesto drizzle on top of like the chicken or something like that, but not as the actual base. So I've been thinking about that. I'm like, do alternative pizza bases outside of the barbecue and traditional tomato exist in chain restaurants? Or is, again, that just either DIY or like bougie restaurant pizza? Because I'm pretty sure, too, even when you go to, like, make your own pizzas on websites, the only options are barbecue and tomato for your sauces. There we go. We have a Pizza Planet pizza. Ooh, that sounds really cool. Is it like a... like Pizza Planet as in like Toy Story Pizza Planet? And also is it like a mini pizza oven? Like one of those like kind of tabletop pizza ovens? Because either of those, if the answer is yes, that is awesome. You got it off Shop Disney? That's incredible. I love that. Oh, I just saw your pattern that you posted, Kat. That's so cool. I didn't realize like you also did all these designs and stuff, like a border and things as well. That's really cool. Guys, you gotta see this. You gotta see this. It looks so good. Look at that. This is really pretty. And I totally like your idea of doing it on the Black Ada. I think I did that with another pattern as well. Oh, absolutely. Yeah. But I just think it's really pretty. Yeah. That's really cool. But yeah, no, I totally agree. I think that happened to me. There was another pattern. I think there's a couple patterns that I have that call for the background to be stitched black. And I'm the same way. That I'm like, yeah, I'm going to do this on Black Ada. That makes so much more sense. But no, it looks really good. Okay, let's see. Let's see this Disney pizza oven. That's so cute. Oh, they do a popcorn maker. It almost looks like a giant waffle maker, but it's a pizza maker. So how does it work? Like, is it just one of those things that you... do you put raw dough in there? Or is it like a thing that you put frozen pizza in and then it like makes the frozen pizza? You know what I mean? Oh, it heats top to bottom. Oh, okay, cool. You could put raw dough in there. Oh, okay, yeah. I guess it's like with any, like with a traditional pizza oven as well. Like it would be one of those things that, like if it was a fire one or whatever, like with coals, it would be the same thing where it would just heat and then you just need something to contain the heat in order to melt everything and stuff. That's awesome. Oh, I was so annoyed today. So I tried to add a new sound channel, like a channel point sound alert redeem, because I was listening to Teenage Dirtbag by Wheatus today, and I was like, that would be an awesome sound to include. And I found the sound alert for the chorus of Teenage Dirtbag, went to add it, and apparently it violates Twitch's like... It was like banned from like the Autobot or something like that. The Autobot said no. Like the auto mod. Twitch's auto mod was like no. And I was like, but why? And then I was trying to think and I was like, okay, is like dirtbag, like calling someone a teenage dirtbag, like is that considered rude? So I even went into my settings and like turned off the like monitoring for bullying part. And I even added dirtbag to like the allowed words on like the auto mod to try to see if I could get it to be accepted, but every time I clicked they were like, no, auto mod says no. And I was like, but why? Why are we hating on Wheatus like that? It would be such a good sound. So I need to play around with it a little bit more and see if I can find a way to make this happen. That was like from a blur, like a sound alert that was already generated. So I'm like, okay, maybe if I make my own, it like won't tag it or clock it. I'm not sure. But yeah, I was a bit upset. Which is a bit concerning because I'm like, okay, so Teenage Dirtbag isn't allowed, but me putting B44 is gonna make you come tonight over to my house is considered appropriate. Like I don't understand. I guess to be fair, that one was through blurps and this one is through sound alerts, but still, I would assume the auto mod would have caught that as well. Oh. Guys, give me a second. The doorbell just rang. It's probably a delivery, but just give me a second. It was somebody doing door-to-door solicitation for fundraising. And I felt really bad because he seemed like a young, nice boy, and I wanted to listen to his spiel even though I was not in a position to donate any money to him. I'm gonna close the door. It was really windy too. I felt really bad, but yeah. So sorry guys, that's where I was. So I think, what is it? I think it was for, what was it for? The National Deaf Society, I think? Let me check. What was it? He seemed like a very nice man though, but National Deaf Children's Society. So they're looking to do a campaign to help raise money to help provide support for children who are born deaf, and that's really great. But yeah. Yeah. He was like an older, I think he works for them. Oh, hi, baby. Yes, hello. How you doing? Oh, you fell off your stick. But yeah, no, I just feel really awkward because, like, I don't know. I feel, and also, too, like, it sounds really shitty, but, like, we have other charities that we donate money to on a regular basis. So, I don't know. It just becomes hard, and, like, I feel really bad. And also, too, like, I'm sure if they're, like, canvassing door to door, I think he even said, too, like, it was his first day, and, like, I could be the very first person to, like, sign up with him and stuff, and I'm like, no, I'm sorry. And then, in a way, it sounds really bad. It sounds so bad, guys. Like, I don't know. Is this just, like, when people canvass door to door, like, it feels really awkward. And it's one of those where it feels like a very pressure-filled situation. It's almost like when people cold call you. And it's like, I get it. Like, I know, like, people, you know, a lot of people need help and a lot of charities need help and stuff like that. But it's like, it feels like, I don't know. It's a very pressure-filled situation but it's for both parties. I'm sure he felt awkward as hell as well. But I was like, I'm sorry, sir. I am not in a position to give you money. And then it sounds really bad because I'm like, well, then I say, you know, I'm not, you know, it sounds really shitty because, you know, Liam and I are an equal partner household or whatever, but I'm like, oh no, my husband controls the finances, so I need to discuss things with him before I make any make any donations. And then he asks, okay, well, when's your partner coming home? And I'm like, well, technically Liam has a dinner tonight. And so he's not, and he's like, oh, like 6, 7. I'm like, no, like 11, like midnight. And he's like, oh. And I'm like, yeah, no. Yeah, exactly. But it's like, I want to be, I don't want to just like shut the door in their face and be an asshole, right? I'm like, I'm sorry. It's not that I don't care about children. But yeah, I would hate to have that kind of job. I canvassed one. To be fair, I did that one time. Because I had in high school in Ontario, you needed to get 40 volunteer hours before you could graduate high school. And so one of the things I did was canvass for the Heart and Stroke Foundation. And so I did that, where I went door to door asking people for donations to the Heart and Stroke Foundation, and I found it really awkward and uncomfortable, and I hated every minute of it. And I feel like the only people who donated were like friends that I knew or family members, because it's really difficult. But yeah. I think it's difficult too, and like, again, it sounds terrible, but I think sometimes as well, because there's so many charities out there and all of them need money and donations, it can become very overwhelming because you want to support everything, but then you almost just like kind of have to choose to put your money where you have like some sort of personal connection to it. At least like that's kind of how like I operate and like we operate, because we have, certain charities that are super helpful to people in our lives that mean a lot to us. And so that's where we're more likely to donate, because we know they need the programs. And like, it sounds really shitty, but it's like, we know that that money will directly support the people that we love and are close to us. But yeah. It was also really cold, and I felt really bad for him because it's kind of raining now. It did say it was going to rain today, so I guess it is living up to its expectation. But Shadow was a very good boy. He didn't bark at him. He was really good. Because I thought, because even too at one point, like because we have 2 doors, and our main door opened up because I was trying to keep him in to be on the porch, and I thought he was going to try to rush out and like say hi to this guy. And he was, like, very calm and just wagged his tail, but, like, didn't bark and stuff. And so it was, like, excellent. And even he was like, oh, my God, I'm, like, so impressed with how calm he's being. And I'm like, yeah, actually, I am too right now, to be honest. He's being way calm right now. But I think it's because he woke up from a nap. I think he's downstairs back in nap mode. As he should be. But, yeah, I hope that man gets donations. It just won't be from me, unfortunately. Yeah, I did a lot of donor choose stuff before. Yeah. Got to be money aware. Yeah, that's the thing. I know for a while I was, I sponsored, a child through, I think it might have been through World Vision. It was their, like, Because I Am a Girl campaign. And to be fair, I did get suckered into that as well. But it was really good. But then it got to a point where I'm like, okay, I'm not working. Like, yeah, Liam's working and stuff like that. But there were certain things that I'm like, I am not making any money right now in order to then take my non-existent money to give it to those sorts of things. But who knows, maybe one day. I feel like if I got to a point in my Twitch career that I was like consistently like getting payouts every month, I could see a future where I take part of those payments and make donations to charities with them. But that would take a lot to happen, unfortunately. But maybe one day. But then again, to be really shitty, what will probably happen is it'll probably all go to fundraising for things like the children's hospital that my friend is involved in, and like the Alzheimer's Society, because I have a lot of experience with elderly family members having dementia and Alzheimer's and stuff. So it was really interesting though. One of the things that he did say, like, I can't remember what the stat was, but obviously it was enough of a decent stat. And he said that, like, there's a large portion of children that are born deaf with both parents that are actually hearing. So both parents will have their full range of hearing, but their child will be born fully deaf. And obviously there's enough of that happens that it's a consistent, like, it's a decent stat, you know what I mean? And it's one of those where I'm like, oh, I didn't even, like, think about that. But I think that, you know, that can happen with any family of any. But yeah, I don't know. That was interesting. They're pretty good from what yeah. They could donate. Yeah. Mm-hmm. We used to do that a couple times. My mom, we would buy goats and chickens for my grandpa for Christmas. To then go to those things. The other one that I was for a while, this was when it was so silly, because, you know, for me to be, it was when I was in grad school and I was in my, like, social justice warrior phase, and I was not working, but decided to sign up for all of these charities. I think I was just in a really vulnerable, suggestive headspace, because not only did I sign up for that one, but then I also signed up to Amnesty International as well, the Canadian branch. But every once in a while, I'm not in a position, again, like I said, I'm not in a position to donate any money right now, but I'm still on all their, like, mailing lists. Okay. We have one more line to do. I can't really tell if we're achieving any type of line definition here. I think so, but it also just looks really messy to me. Hopefully, once we add the other color, it won't be as bad. Hopefully. Oh, it looks like they want this. Okay, wait a second. I think they want this entire thing. Yeah, go grab your lunch. Definitely. Okay, so 1, 2. They actually want this entire section in here to be yellow. Okay. We can do that. To be fair, I feel like we're already halfway there. Because I was literally just complaining in my brain about how there's, like, no line definition to this section, and it turns out we just couldn't have the option to fill it in the first place. So that's nice. Except we still need to have separation here. I'm so confused. Okay. I can't. Did I fuck this up? I don't think so. Okay, no, this is fine. So this is supposed to be joined together. Okay. Sorry, I was obviously not reading the instructions. So this whole thing is filled in. Oh man, poor dude. He has a canvas in this weather. I'll be like, I can't offer you money, but I can offer you a cup of tea and a place to hang out before this storm passes. Come hang out with me and my dog. Let's be good friends. Okay. Maybe. Possibly. Okay. I feel like I stabbed the center of this too much. And it's looking a little bit awkward, but it's fine. I think maybe. I don't know. Just want to like add more felt to here, but then I'm also concerned that as I add more, I then need to push down further into the pattern, so maybe it'll make it worse. I don't know. Maybe. I don't know. I don't know why. I'm like so paranoid about this particular section. I need to just calm down. Wow. Entrails! Hi, good morning. I read your name literally as I was mid-sneeze. You literally stopped my sneeze from escaping my face. I don't know how you did it. But how are you? Good morning. How are things? I've been meaning to tell you that you have the most, like, it's like the most aggressively wholesome Discord channel I've ever seen. Like, the way you just so aggressively hype everyone up is, like, the best thing in the world. It's such a sight to behold. I love it very much. But yeah, how are you? You do have that effect on people. Stop the sneezes in their tracks. It still feels like it's bubbling under the surface. It's gonna come at the most, inopportune time. Don't. I know what you're thinking. Oh, wait, no, it's here. Yep, okay. Yep, okay, just checking. But yeah, we're stabbing things, and I'm feeling, I don't know, unsure about this particular part, but I'm sure it will be fine. There's no point having friends if you're gonna hype them up every day for no reason at an obnoxious level. I love that, truly. I love that. Yeah, the daily hype. It's true. It's awesome. Is it? Oh yeah? It's actually defiled obnoxious entrails. They're not regular old entrails. They're the obnoxious kind. Yeah. Mm-hmm. No, that's amazing. I think that's a really excellent quality to have. You're back with your salad. Ooh, what kind of salad? The good kind, right? The best kind. Or is it the substandard kind? You love salad? Yeah. I enjoy a good salad. Except when it's, I don't know, when it's cold, I'm like, I'm a soup person. There was a moment where I was like, oh, we might not, you know, we might have to retire the soup for the season and get back into salads. I tested the water with some hummus and snap peas, and then it got a bit chilly, so I was like, I'm back on my soup. Back on my soup bullshit. I'm back on my veggies being pulsed into a liquid. Chicken Caesar, very nice. Very nice. Why is this so not the way I envisioned it in my brain? Soup is so good, yeah. Oh, you prefer country? Yeah, you gotta have like a texture component. Do you ever put like seeds in your salad? I'm a fan of like a sunflower seed crunch factor. I def to you with salads. Yeah. Yeah, Liam does that in his wraps as well. If we do like wraps, we'll always crumble a little bit of some chips in there. Yeah, tasty crudo. Exactly. No, I think that's awesome. I did see that about the Twilight remake, and I'm like, but why? It's like, you just need to let things live in, like, I don't know, like cringy, campy 2000s-ness. Like, it doesn't need to happen. It was already hella successful. I know they're doing the same thing with, oh, did you say beans? I said seeds, yeah. But also beans. Like a 3-bean salad is quite nice. Because it's not even just like lettuce heavy salads. There's like fruit salads. There's bean salads. One of my favorite ones was actually the, oh, what was it called? I think it was just called a taco salad. You could get taco salads from Taco Bell. And it would be a salad. And then you would actually get the chili, which was kind of odd, but I also kind of loved it. And then the tortilla chips all over it. It was very nice. Okay, is this everything that requires the 3? I think so. And then we'll obviously have to go in and fix these later because it's looking real jank. But I saw the Twilight movies in theaters because somebody did it. So they'd make out with me if I went. Yeah. To be fair, I read all of the books. I was a big stan of the books. And then I watched the first, you know what it is? I've not even seen the second one. And I feel like the second book was my favorite because I was like a low-key Jacob stan. But now I've watched so many people do like deep dives of like the Twilight universe, and I'm realizing how like everyone was problematic in that series. Except for the dad, which everyone is like low-key thirsting over now. But I remember really liking the other, like the books that were further on in the series. But yeah, only ever watched the first movie. My mom bought me the first movie because it came out on my birthday. And she was sitting there watching it with me and was like, I can't handle how blue and dark and gloomy everything is. And it was like, that was an aesthetic choice. You can see the feel of making out in the theater. Yeah. Yeah, did you actually get to make out with her? Because if she really wanted to see it, wasn't she busy watching the movie? Were you just, like, sucking on her neck the entire time? A la Twilight To be fair, she probably was into that if she was into Twilight. You probably could have just, like, been making out with her neck while she watched the film the whole time, and she would have been like, ooh, this is, like, my own Edward Bella moment. And she would have been super into that, I bet. I bet. Okay, number 4. Hey, we're the same age! Yeah. Movies are expensive. And even if they're not that, like, even if they're, like, okay, as soon as you decide you want popcorn, you're like, now it's exponential. It's where they get you. They get you with the concessions. Which I know people can just, like, kind of smuggle food into the cinema, but it's not the same vibe. Oh shit, man, don't touch my neck. Yeah. Well, that won't be an enjoyable movie watching experience for you then. Okay. Oh wow, this looks like a lot. So we're probably going to be working with this color. Number 4 for the remainder of the stream. I think I dated a different person for every Twilight movie, so they all pick different spots for making out. That's so funny. Yeah, that's fair though. I think that that's most teenage boys who get dragged to a quote-unquote girly movie. You know what I mean? I don't think it was creepy. I think it was just, you know, that makes sense from a 17-year-old male perspective. You're like, I will go see your cheesy movie, but you must give me the goods at some point. I respect that. You sneaking snacks? Yeah. I think I've snuck in snacks sometimes, but I'm usually like, I'm a big, like, when I go to the movies, I want movie popcorn. So I am that sucker who ends up spending like 40 pounds at a movie because I want all of the movie snacks as well. I want that good movie snack. One time my friend messaged me a picture. He sent me a picture of his friend because they were in the theater, and his friend brought like a whole, like, you know, they like sliced Italian prosciutto meat tests, like meat trays and stuff. He brought like a whole prosciutto pack to the theater. I'm like, I respect it. I want a second sneak pot. A pot of chili into the movies. Like, what can we get away with? Oh, yes! Finally! That's so exciting. Everything's finally done. That's so good. That's so awesome. It's like official now, which is so cool. Because I feel like all of the results were slowly coming back. And now it's all official. Does your mom have a celebration plan? How's she gonna celebrate? Probably just like sleep a whole lot. Because she's like, yo, this was a lot. I need to rest a little bit. That's incredible. I'm like, I hope she buys herself something real nice. Or gets to go and, like, eat her favorite food or something. I don't know. I just think you should have, like, a, you know, you should celebrate. I feel like this is a huge deal. Gotta do some kind of celebrating. Oh, are you still staying with her right now, Kat? Because, that alarm... Did your landlord fix the alarm that was beeping in your loft space? Okay. So all of these little guys need little pink dots in the center of them. These are going to be fully pink. Those are going to be fully pink. And then these are going to have little pink accents in them. So we're going to be panking up the place. Where is Nude Day when you need her? Pank! Ooh. Oh my goodness. Cute. There's actually, because all of the trees in our area that are planted are, like flowering and stuff. Sorry, someone came in here. Ah, damn. Stop getting Cat to work. We're busy hanging out. The audacity. Don't they know you're busy hanging out? You don't have time to work. I know you're at work, but like, they need to know this. Oh, it's good. I'm glad it's been fixed. But yeah, is your mom gonna celebrate? Are you guys gonna do like a little celebration, like go to dinner or like order her favorite stuff or like do something? Do something to signify, fuck yeah, you kicked cancer's ass, you know? My cat woke me up with so much attitude today, really. Just absolute sassy pants. I wonder why. Because does your cat do, isn't there like a thing that cats always do, like a 2 a.m. zoomies around their house? Did they have a bad 2 a.m. zoomie, you know? And they were like, listen? Or they weren't able, wasn't it, you know, the biscuits they baked were insufficient? Hey man, sometimes the celebration is not celebrating. I don't know, some people aren't into that. But maybe you should. I think you should. Even if it's just like, I don't know, binging your mom's favorite show together and like eating good food, eating takeaway or something. Yeah, no problem. All good, all good. We're just celebrating the fact that Kat's mom is officially cancer-free now. So she had already like gotten certain things were the all clear, but now she's gotten the official all clear. I don't know how to celebrate without a hangover. Can't do it. Wow. No. No alcohol. That's fair. You're like, none alcohol. Ooh. My cat, I used to have, would sleep on me and would get so frustrated if I attempted to get up in the morning. Oh, maybe that's what it is. Yeah. Do you have any possible theories? Fair. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I feel like one shouldn't yeah. I feel like if you don't have sugar and or carbs when you celebrate, like, is that even a celebration? You know what I mean? You gotta celebrate with cake of some kind. Even if it's a cupcake or one of those like mug cakes that you make in the microwave, you know? A little baby cake. But yeah, Entrails, do you have any theories about why your cat is being as full of attitude today? Do we have any theories? Or are you just like gobsmacked? You're like, why? Why, tiny furry creature, have you got so much sass today? Tell us your secrets. Yeah, sugar and carbs all the way. Absolutely. Things taste right. Yeah. It'd have to be like what her taste buds have been acclimated. You'd have to ask. Do you know what your mom's favorite food is? It might have changed. Oh, and he's sassy because I haven't been home as much. Yeah, that's fair. I feel like animals do that because it's like, I feel like pets are also so routine oriented. So when your routine switches up, that means their routine has switched up and they're like, absolutely not. I did not consent to this. You're like, you didn't tell me you were getting a new work schedule. I didn't agree to this. I guess you're like, I get, your work manager may have said this is the schedule, but I am the house manager and I'm saying no bueno. Oh, her favorite food now is spicy. That's awesome. You should order the hot ones, all of the hot sauces, and do your own hot ones spicy challenge. That would be fun. Just get all of the hot sauces and do your own like spicy hot wing challenge. Yeah. I think that would be fun. I don't think I have I don't know. I don't know if I have a very high spice tolerance. I can do spice. I can do spice higher than most of my, like, in-laws. Because they all have bland British taste buds. But, yeah, I don't know in comparison to other people what my spice tolerance level is. You had a few of those hot sauces? Yeah. Because I like a lot of spices in food, but I don't necessarily know what my spicy tolerance is. But I think that would be fun. The other thing, so there's that one, and then the other thing that we want to do one day, I think it would be better than the spice one, at least for the people in my family that would want to participate. But we always like every once in a while, just to have in the background, Leo and I will watch Good Mythical Morning. But only, like most of the time it's usually when they do their like taste test videos, or they'll do their like foods from around the world, or so the one kind of series they do is they'll like, let's say rank every chocolate chip cookie ever, right? And it's not all of them, but then they'll buy like, boxes of different levels of chocolate chip cookie, and then they'll try them and taste test them and see which one they prefer. So I think that'd be really fun to do with him. Obviously with gluten-free stuff, it would be very obvious, but I think that would be a cool thing to like buy, like get different brands of a favorite thing and then taste test them. The only problem is then if some of them are trash, you then have a giant box of trash cookies, but I'm sure you could pawn them off and find someone else to eat them. Yeah, it is. Curry is a popular dish over there, but like over here. But I feel like if they're doing a curry, like most of the time it's like a butter chicken or a korma, right? So it doesn't really have a kick to it. Or like a katsu curry. That has a little bit of spice to it, but nothing crazy. Like, we're talking some people, it's like pepper is too much. Or you add a bit of paprika and it's like, nah, not too spice. Too spice. yeah, wasn't I? Okay. Before I got distracted. I don't even remember why I was distracted and what I was distracted about. But I was talking about this color here. And how there are a lot of like flowering trees in our neighborhood. And some of them have these like little white flowers. But some of them have little flowers that are this color. And it's really pretty. And it makes me very happy. I grew up poor, so I'm used to spice. Oh, that's interesting. Is that like as a means to provide like... because something was maybe of a lower like quality or whatever, you would then use a lot of spices to then mask it? Is that like what you mean in that respect? Which makes sense. Like if you're, you know, because I think if you have like, for instance, with like, I don't know, like a cut of beef or whatever, if you marinate and season the shit out of a cut of beef, it can be tasty regardless of like the quality or the level of cut it is, versus I guess when you have like a Wagyu beef or some bougie ass cut of beef, then you like don't marinate it and put sauces and stuff on it because it's like the quality of it is like, allegedly, there's people who will put ketchup on anything, right? I'm sure if I took, my mom would be very upset, but I'm sure if I took my dad to like a fancy restaurant and he had a Wagyu beef, he would be totally fine to put ketchup on it. I joke about white people not seasoning their food. That's really interesting. Yeah. That makes sense to me. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I think it depends on how, it's interesting too, because I know, like, I think there's a thing, I'm not entirely sure, but I feel like it's a thing. My cousin puts it on her steak. Yeah. And does your cousin, like, what rarity, because does she have her steak, like, really well done? I remember one time my mom invited my friend over as, like, a thank you for something. And she was like, oh, we'll barbecue steaks. And then my friend came over and my mom was like, well, how do you like your steak? And she's like, so well done, like, basically burnt. And my mom was like, I don't want to. She was almost like, oh, okay. And I think afterwards she was like, oh, okay, noted. Next time Jen comes around, we will not waste quality steak on her. She's like, if you're not doing medium rare to medium, then we don't want you. Yeah, that's okay then. Because I can imagine, like, it would just be, like, the levels of blasphemy would grow if she wanted ketchup all over her, like, well-done steak. Her dad's also really bad at cooking steaks. Yeah. I was the one who was in charge of barbecuing in my house. My dad, according to my mom, would always burn things. He said that he charred them, you know, like, as a flavor char. But I don't even know how it ended up happening, but I just became the resident barbecuer in our house when I was growing up. And the thing, too, is, like, my family, we wouldn't, like, for special occasions, like, even for Christmas, like, we wouldn't do, like, your traditional, like, turkey, or, like, roast dinner in sort of those kind of senses. Also, because a lot of times it was just the four of us, so it didn't really make sense to cook a whole ass turkey for 4 people. So, Christmases and, like, special occasions around my place, yeah, I didn't think so either. Mm-hmm. It's a cool realization, though. But it's also, you know, in a way, I guess it's kind of a good thing in your case, because that means you can handle your spice. Yeah. Well, that's the thing, because, oh, yeah, what I was saying originally is that I thought that as you got older, your, like, taste buds deteriorated over time, and so you sometimes need, like, more salt and pepper on your food in order to taste it. Whereas, like, Liam's pops, his, like, granddad, you put pepper on something, and he's like, no, it's too spicy, it's too hot, I can't handle it. Yeah. So I just think that that's really funny, because I would assume, I think he maybe puts a lot of salt on his food. I'm not sure if he does anymore. But yeah, I just find that interesting that I would assume maybe you would need to put more, but he's like, no, the pepper is too much. Yeah, that's the thing. Sometimes when things are spicy going down, that means they're spicy coming out again. And that's not something you want to mess with sometimes. That's alright. I feel like I would assume, like, if you were able to go over 10 minutes without telling a joke, I would wonder if you were ill or missed the opportunity. You know what I mean? My dad would dare me to eat the peppers in a Papa John's box. Oh, really? And he'd buy me. That's so fun. I love that. But yeah, so I became the resident barbecuer, and my family would always do surf and turf for like for special occasions. We'd always do steak and scallops with mushroom risotto. That was like our go-to fancy meal. So this means that even in Northern Ontario Canadian winter, Christmas time, I would be barbecuing in the snow. And so we would have to, like, stomp a path in the snow from the back door to the barbecue and, like, excavate the barbecue area to be able to cook. And then when I was bored, I would, like, make designs in the snow and stuff. Or, like, make snow angels while I'm waiting for the food to cook on the barbecue. Oh, yeah, absolutely. I'm like, gang, welcome to the club, entrails. Yeah, I'm like, you know, because I think the thing too, right, is I think sometimes when you've gone through, like, mentally really dark shit, you kind of just have to joke about it, because if you don't joke about it, then it makes it really sad. So you're like, hey, if I can crack a joke about how shitty and miserable this situation is, maybe it'll be not as bad, right? You have to. Yeah, we're all ill together. We're all ill together. Bum, bum, bum. Where we stand, hand in hand. Yeah, it's true. Call me something, it's like always, yeah. It's almost like, you know, when people, like, analyze, I'm sure that's probably how, like, musicians feel about stuff. Or, like, I guess it's comedy, yeah, you have to write. I was gonna say, like, writers, but comedy writing is writing as well. But yeah. Your brain is, like, filtered through, like, how can I turn this into a punchline? Which is kind of cool, though, because I feel like some of the best kinds of, like, jokes and humor is observational humor. Where you're, like, looking at a situation, you're like, this is absurd. And then you're like, let me tell you why. You have 1,000 jokes. That's amazing! Yeah, I feel like it's one of those, like, I find that I'm, like, my funniest when I have people to bounce off of. So I don't know, like, if I, like, in terms of, like, stand-up comedy, where it's, like, yourself organizing a bit and getting to a punchline and stuff. I don't know. I think I would struggle with that. Whereas it's like if I'm having a conversation with somebody and then they say something and then I can sometimes like react quick-wittedly to get a joke in. But I guess to transition that to like stand up or something like that, I guess you would then be taking that conversation and then making it happen just with yourself. So I guess there's a way to rework that. I also, you know, feel like I wouldn't be able to handle being heckled. So that's a not for me thing. I don't think I have very thick skin. But that's awesome. I love that for you. I also like that that's how your brain works, because then you're always trying to see the joke in something, and I think that's probably good. Because I'm sure, especially for other people, they probably appreciate that when they're like, everything is shit and things suck, and then you're like, but here's a joke about it, and you're like, oh, okay. I mean, yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I could see it being like, because I do think that there's valid criticism of the level that people get offended by stuff, but then like you said, there are some like valid criticisms of like people who kind of make punching down about other groups of people. Or also too, I feel like with some groups it's kind of like, you know, I can make a joke about something that happens within the group that I identify with, but somebody who's not a part of that group, it can come off as like being mean for no reason. But then, yeah, so I think you said it's probably very difficult to navigate because there are some valid criticisms that people are making really shitty jokes that you shouldn't, that never were funny, but people got away with it back in the day. But then there's other ones where it's like, oh no, that is something that Tasha made a joke that made me, yeah, maybe instantly hate him and I refuse to watch it ever again. Yeah, It also wasn't funny at all. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I think there's certain things. And then I guess too, like, and then at that point, it becomes like, because there's also different types of humor as well, right? And so I know like certain types of comedy don't resonate with me. And so I don't go out of my way to watch those types of comedy. And so then it's like, yeah, that's the thing. And then that's when it becomes unacceptable, right? But there's certain things where it's like, okay, I don't necessarily resonate with this type of comedy. Yeah, no, I appreciate that. And so then I don't engage in that, but then I don't turn around and get upset when it doesn't resonate with me because I know it's already something that I don't find funny. But yeah, you know, just your standard, like, cheap shots at, like, you know, when your comedy set is infused with sexism, racism, homophobia, transphobia, that's not cute. You can't get away with that shit anymore, and you never should have been able to get away with that shit anymore. But there's still so much to joke about outside of those things. that I think if you can't make jokes without taking jabs at marginalized groups, then maybe get better at comedy, you know? Like, be better. But yeah, definitely. But then if it's like, if you're just being vulgar and people don't like vulgar humor, it's like, yeah, but some people like vulgar humor, so then just don't engage in vulgar humor. Like, I've realized over the years that, like, I'm not a super big fan of, like, slapstick comedy. I never really, like, sometimes it's funny, but other times I just kind of find it really repetitive and annoying. And so I don't engage in that sort of stuff. Some people find, yeah, exactly. And I think things can be vulgar without being, again, things can be vulgar without attacking marginalized groups or poking fun at marginalized groups. And so it's like, you can be vulgar about your own sexual escapades and people might be like, that's really gross, I don't like that. But then there's other people that are like, yeah, give me the nitty gritty gross details about like butts and stuff. I don't know. Yeah, vulgar. Yeah, exactly. I'm not, yeah, it just depends on, but then some people are into that. I love that everyone has the right to change the channel. I walk away. Yeah. No, exactly. I think as long as it's not, again, like you said, as long as you're not perpetuating perpetuating things that will then snowball into undue harm towards specific groups of people. If people don't like your shit, then that's on them, and it's just not for them. They can go find another comic, you know? But yeah, like, if you post something that I don't find funny, I'm not going to be like, I'm offended, you need to change what you're posting. Yeah, Dane Cook is awkward to watch now. Isn't, like, who's the other one? There's a few. Like, comedy is disgusting, but it's never hateful in any way. Yeah. And that's the thing, like, that's your type of comedy. And I don't think anyone should sit around and be like, I'm offended, you need to change your comedy, right? It's like, nah. You need to find a different comic to listen to. Exactly, yeah. Yeah, no, there's quite a few that it is a bit cringe. Yeah, Dane Cook is one of them. There's a few others. Yeah, wasn't it that he proposed? I forget how old his girlfriend was. I think she, like, had just turned 19 and then they got engaged. But it's like, okay, yeah, she just became legal and then you got engaged, but that doesn't mean that you weren't actively pursuing her pre-legality. But anytime there's an age difference that's big, even if it's legal, it's still creepy and awkward, right? Do you have comedy inspirations, Entrails? Like, do you have certain comics or comedians or shows and stuff that, like, influence your comedic style? Chris Rock. Yeah. I don't know if I know. I know who Bill Burr is. He has a late show, doesn't he? No, that's someone else. Is that Bill Maher? This is real. I'm getting... Okay. Let me look these up. Yeah, no, it is different. Who am I thinking of? Yeah, I'm thinking of Bill Maher. But that is not... No, am I? I don't know who I'm thinking of. Someone has a late show, but it's not Bill Burr. Let me go on. Tom Segura. I don't know if I know who that is. Liam and I just watched Greg Davis's set recently. He's watched a couple of his stand-ups. Oh, Taskmaster is incredible. I love Taskmaster. I'm not a big fan. So Liam and I tried to watch some of Greg Davis's like scripted stuff, and we didn't like enjoy it as much. But his comedy is really funny. Trying to think who else. Any of, you know what it is? I think it's any stand-up comedians who used to be former school teachers seem to have a wealth of material, because kids say the most wacky shit. You know what I mean? So I think, because Greg Davey used to be a drama teacher and then was an English teacher for a bit. And I think another one in Canada, there's one called Ramesh Ranganathan. And I think he was a math teacher. So he also has a lot of good stuff about like just the insanity that is school and like trying to teach, you know, hormonal psycho teenagers. Alison Hammond. Let me check. That name sounds familiar to me. I'm not sure. Let me check. Alison Hammond. Apparently she's a TV personality for Big Brother and stuff. But yeah, usually like presenters and stuff, I feel like they have a bit of like a comedic tone to a lot of them. Is she the one who's now hosting the Great British Bake Off? Because I think I saw something about somebody who was like a former contestant, and then they're now hosting because they're really funny. I don't know if they're replacing Matt Smith or who's the guy from the Mighty Boosh? The other guy. Yeah, that's what it was. So it was her. Now it's gonna bug me. Yeah! Noel, that's his name. Noel Fielding. That's the one. That was gonna bug me. I'm glad you solved that for me. I was like, I know his name. He was really good on Taskmaster. Some of them are so good. There seems to be, I don't know what it is, like, I get the impression that there's more opportunities for comedians in the UK than there seems to be. I don't know, because I don't remember at least from in Canada, I feel like in the UK, panel shows are a huge thing. So there's like Would I Lie to You? What's the other one? Countdown. 8 out of 10 Cats does Countdown. Those different things. And so they're basically just like game shows, but they always have comedians on, and every once in a while they'll have like another like a TV personality or something like that. Whereas I don't know if it's as common in the US and in Canada. I think in Canada they did Match Game for a little while. They did a revival of Match Game, and then that had some famous like Canadian comics and stuff like that. But I don't know, like, I don't know if I just am unaware of them, but are panel shows like a thing in the States? Because I feel like that's where I become aware of a lot of the British comedians, is via the panel shows. And that seems to be like what, you know, if you're not doing stand-up, you're doing panel shows. And then you can make, yeah, I don't know. Because I know Catherine Ryan, who's actually Canadian. She's actually from Sarnia originally. I'm pretty sure one of the reasons she moved to the UK was because she wanted to get into comedy, and it was basically impossible to become like a female stand-up comic in Canada. And so she moved to the UK, and now she's like one of the top stand-up comics in the area. She's like always on all the panel shows and stuff. Yeah, we don't have those. Interesting. So is it like your only option to get into comedy in the US, I guess, is to do the stand-up circuit? It must be. I guess, to be fair, like all these panel shows are when people get like a little bit more popular. So I guess they all also have to do the stand-up circuit, and then like the, you know, the club circuit, and then eventually they then come across like a level of success that then allows them to then be circulated on all these panel shows. I don't know. I'm not sure how it works. Oh, hi, Shadow. How you doing? All right. So, I think we're just about ready. We've not finished this section, but I think we'll work more on this tomorrow. Yeah, it's a heavier. Yeah. Yeah, I feel like SNL is very hit or miss now, isn't it? To be fair, I wonder if it is, like, if it always was hit or miss, but it's just that there were so many more, like, I don't know, the hits then got compiled. Because, like, I know we had a copy of, like, the best of Will Ferrell on SNL. And, like, the cowbell scene, like, the cowbell sketch is, like, iconic. You know what I mean? And so I don't know if, you know, all of the best of Will Ferrell, if that was all happening within, like, the same show or in the same few shows. Or if there were a lot of cringy episodes, but they're, like, cringy content. But then there were some bangers that then snuck through and then became, you know? Oh, was he? Yeah. Yeah, I feel like he would be. I didn't watch the clip, but I've seen a lot of screenshots of when Anna de Armas was on there. And they did, like, a spoof of, like, the Barbie trailer, but it was all American Girl dolls instead. And that looked pretty clever. I didn't watch it though, so I don't know if it was actively funny, but. All right, so here is the progress. It's starting to get a bit of color on here. We're looking like we're getting some definition. We're seeing some stuff, some florals and things. So far, so good. Let me pop this away before I forget. It's annoying that these needles are longer than the handle, but it's fine. So if anyone has any raid suggestions, please let me know, or else we will go and see which of our friends are online. And then, yeah, we will, I think, because I'll be downstairs tomorrow. I've not attempted to needle felt downstairs yet for Cozy Couch Fridays. So we might be working on this, or we might be cross-stitching Phantasma, because we've not worked on her for a while. And she's looking a little sad over there by herself. So either or, I'm not sure yet. But we will be here tomorrow. I just don't know crafting what medium. But let's see who's online. Yeah, I think Pando, is he almost ready to age up? Oh no, he's already did. Did he? Yeah, I think so. He must have. He must have. All right, who's online? All right. See, this wouldn't be a problem if I didn't have to already go onto somebody's. Haven't treated Pando in a while, long overdue. Yeah. I'm sure you have more than enough points for it. All right. Pop-Tarts online. Killer Bees online. Dragon Riders online. Albisaurus online. Artemis online. Megabug online. You go see Makerbug. Or Pop-Tart. I can't help it. We gotta go see Makerbug. Always. I can't not. She did. She did. Do I have it? I do. I do. I got a few goodies over the last... Oh, geez. I need to do something about that redeem tree because it is in the way. But yeah, so she sent me a little beaded lizard, and it's the same color pattern as the cross-stitch beaded lizard that we did together. I also got some really cute stickers, which I'm super excited about. But yeah, she sent me some real cute goodies. And then Ray, our friend, also sent me some cute goodies. This is my keychain from her. It's my Squirtle keychain with my name on it. She was inspired by the keychain giveaway that I did. This one's much bigger too than the other one, the one that I gave her, which is really cute. And then I didn't know she was gonna do this, but I also got this like notes and plans, and it's like a little planner / sticky note thing. And I'm like, you can never have enough sticky notes and planning and cute stationery. You know what I mean? Like, you can never have enough cute stationery. So I've gotten a few cute little gifts over this past week. It's been excellent. Your keychain hangs on our front door. Oh, that's amazing. I love it. I love it. Woo. But yeah, so many cute, wonderful things. But yes, we do. Let's go. And here, let me do this. Raid. That's not how you spell raid. Excellent. All right. Whoops. Okay. Copy. Let's go and raid Makerbug. And I will see you guys tomorrow doing who knows. But we will be crafting. Either of the crossy kind or of the stabby kind. And I will let you guys know. Or not. It'll be a surprise when you come stop by tomorrow. I don't know. Who knows? All right, let's go see Megan. Bye, friends.